Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you might be joining us from. Thanks so much for being here for our next pre-arrival webinar. We are so excited to focus on housing today. We know that this is a big topic, and it's really on top of mind for many of our students. As soon as you kind of get your paperwork, like your visa paperwork settled, I feel like this is the next big thing of, okay, where am I going to live and what's that going to be like? So we are so excited to be able to focus on that today here. Okay, so on behalf, if this is maybe the first webinar you're joining us from, we just want to start off by extending such a warm welcome. We are so excited to interact with our new cohort of students. These pre-arrival webinars are hosted in partnership from the International Services and Engagement Office, often referred to as ISEO, as well as the Division of Graduate Education and Postdoctoral Affairs, or often referred to as GEPA. And so we know that UC San Diego is a very large campus. There's a lot of different departments, there's a lot of different offices. And so one of the things that we really try to do is work collaboratively across campus to bring in all these different folks who are experts in their own field. So, with that, we have lots of experts here today to talk about all the different pieces of housing. We're so grateful for their partnership. On behalf of everyone, I just want to extend such a warm welcome. My name is Grace Fuller. I serve as the Assistant Director of International Experience and Engagement at the International Services and Engagement Office. And we'll kind of go down the line here and allow folks to introduce themselves. So I'll hand it over to my colleague Marie.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Marie Mon La Paz Rivera, and I'm the Assistant Director for International Student Services at ISEO. Warm welcome to you all. Looking forward to meeting you soon. And I will hand it off to my colleague, Shauna.
Thank you, Marie. My name is Shauna Slapiota. I use pronouns she and hers, and I'm here from the Division of Graduate Education and Postdoctoral Affairs. And I just also want to say welcome, and we're happy that you'll be joining our community. And I'll pass it off to our colleagues. I don't know, Marissa or Myra, who wants to go first?
I can go first. Hi, everyone. My name is Marissa Loa. I'm a housing allocations assistant with Graduate and Family Housing. I'll go ahead and pass it over to Myra.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Myra Cruz Lugardo, and I'm the Housing Allocations Coordinator. And I will pass it to Elise as well.
I'm sorry, camera's not working, but I am the new housing allocations assistant with Myra and Marissa.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carolyn Tinoco, Carolina Tinoco. I use she, her, ella pronouns. Welcome, welcome. I am part of the Basic Needs Hub, off-campus housing office. And yeah, welcome. And I'll pass it on over to Marissa.
Hi everybody, good morning. My name is Marisa Islas, pronouns she, her, hers, and I'm the Basic Needs Housing and Education Resource Coordinator. Hope everyone is having a lovely Thursday so far.
Okay, so here's a snapshot of how we're going to spend our time together today. We have a few important reminders for you. So, especially if this is maybe the first webinar you're able to join us for, there's a few things we want to make sure you know to do. Then we're going to spend some time talking about on-campus housing. We're also going to dedicate a portion of today's webinar talking about off-campus housing options, additional housing resources, upcoming webinars, and additional reminders. And then, as always, we've dedicated a portion of today's webinar for open question and answer. So you can submit questions throughout today's webinar, but please know we do have a dedicated time at the end. So we might save some of those questions to respond to later. A little bit of housekeeping before we begin. You'll notice that you are in listen only mode, which means you can hear us, but unfortunately we can't hear you. So the main way we'll interact together today is through that Q&A feature on your Zoom menu bar. So you'll be able to submit questions, like I said. You won't be able to utilize the chat, and so the Q&A just helps us be organized and make sure we're getting all those questions answered. And finally, we are recording. So you'll be able to view this webinar recording as well as all previous webinar recordings at inewstudentwebinars.ucsd.edu. This is a great place under fall 2026 where you can view previous webinar recordings, but you can also sign up for upcoming webinars. So it's a great one-stop shop for these resources. This is a little snapshot. Maybe if this is your first webinar utilizing that Q&A feature, this is what it's going to look like. And again, that's going to be the main way we interact together today. Okay, so a little bit about ISEO, if this is your first webinar you're joining us for. ISEO stands for the International Services and Engagement Office, and we support our international community here at UC San Diego. So that includes our international students, such as yourselves. It includes our international faculty and scholars, their families. We know that oftentimes, as an international community member, when you move to a new country to start a new chapter of your life, you bring your whole life, right? And so, to the best of our ability, we want to make sure that we can be holistic in the support that we're offering you. So, even though our office is going to specialize, and a lot of that visa paperwork. Again, we want to make sure that we're connecting you with resources that still are a part of your journey, be it housing or health insurance or things like that. So you can see here we have quite a large service population. We are really lucky at UC San Diego. We have over 10,000 international students. That includes our currently enrolled students and those working after graduation. We have over 2,000 international scholars and over 1,000 international families, including partners and children. And then, like I said earlier, we really try to work with the whole campus to make sure that our international community is supported, such as some of the folks you see here on the call today. So, we are really fortunate to have a robust international community, just under 14,000. And we rank nationally in terms of hosting international faculty and scholars as a US institution, as well as hosting international students. A little bit about what we do. So, we offer pre-arrival and orientation support, such as these pre-arrival webinars. We know that our students start interacting with us months and months and months before they actually arrive physically here in the US. So, we are going to be here throughout that journey. During your time at UC San Diego, our office really specializes in supporting your visa and your status. So, whether you're on an F1 visa or a J1 visa, we'll be the ones issuing that I-20 or that DS 2019, and we'll also be the ones providing advising services on how to maintain that status. We really want to empower you to make sure you know that your status is your responsibility and you feel confident in knowing how to maintain that status while you're here at UC San Diego. But we're always here to help and answer your questions. In addition to advising, we also offer a number of programs and events to start to kind of build that home away from home feeling and really get you engaged in our Triton community. And I would be remiss, I always love to take the opportunity to talk a little bit about our students. So you can see here we have over 8,000 currently enrolled international students, a pretty even breakdown of around 4,000 undergrad and 4,000 graduate students. You can see some of our most common majors and academic departments, as well as our top 10 places of origin. That being said, we do have over 100 countries represented here at UC San Diego. So again, it's a really diverse community, and we are so grateful for you to join us and enrich our campus and our community. So, as I said before, just a warm welcome. We are so excited to physically meet you, likely in September or maybe earlier over the summer. But we're excited to even just begin interacting with you now. And with that, I'll hand it over to my colleagues from GEPA to do some first steps reminders.
Thank you so much, Grace. These are just a few reminders that I want to share with you all as new incoming graduate students. So you are probably pretty aware or familiar, I should say, with the graduate admissions portal where you did your application and you would be able to see that your status is admitted. But I do want to, in particular, point out that some programs do require the statement of legal residence form to be submitted. And so if it's listed as a to-do for it for you in your portal, please take care of that because you will need to complete it. This is not required for all programs, so if it's not listed as a to-do, you don't have to worry about it. In a moment, we'll share a screenshot of what this portal looks like, and I can show you exactly where you'll look to see if it's required. And I do want to point out that almost all students are provisionally admitted at this time. And that just means that you have to submit some kind of final documentation, perhaps of your undergraduate degree or other degrees that you've earned, final transcripts. This is very, very common. I do want to mention that you don't have to wait to have your admission finalized to start working on your visa documentation and getting set up with your status in the US. And I'll also show you where to find those pending admissions documents section in just a moment. And if you ever have questions about provisional documentation, your application, items that you need to submit, please contact our graduate admissions team at gradadmissions@ucsd.edu, and they will be happy to help you out. So this is a quick screenshot of the portal. We're not going to touch upon all of the tabs. We're just going to focus on the Home tab, which is on the left side of the screen, and your checklist items on the right side of the screen. On the left side, I just want to highlight a couple of things here. There's a list, there's 4 links sort of towards the bottom. What to do immediately, before you arrive on campus, when you arrive on campus, and then a link in particular for international students. Please look at these websites, and it's going to tell you all the steps that you need to do before starting your grad program. And the very bottom of the homepage on the left, that's where it's going to list the forms that you need to complete based on your previous study or kind of where you are in your degrees. If the item still needs to be done, you're going to see a red X. And in this example, because the forms have already been taken care of, you see the green arrow, and that's how you'll know that everything has been submitted. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see where the required document sections toward the top. In this example, the individual needs to submit documentation for a degree from University of Pittsburgh. So whatever, any documents you would need to submit would be listed here. And then at the bottom, there's instructions on how you would submit those transcripts. And for any degrees earned at institutions outside of the United States, there is the approval that comes from Wes. I'm blanking on the second one right now, but that is part of the process. You should know that that's part of your process, but you'll find all the information either on the checklist or on our website or in your portal. And if you have questions, please email grad admissions. And that's it for me. I believe our colleagues. Oh, nope. Just kidding.
Just one more reminder.
Yes.
So our first 2 webinars did focus on applying for your F1 or J1 certificate of eligibility. That's your Form I-20 or DS 2019. And our second webinar focused on applying for that F1 or J1 visa process. You can always refer to inewstudent.ucsd.edu. You would click on the section for master's and PhD students, and this is a step-by-step checklist. So we'll be, again, posting those webinar recordings to our website, but our website is very thorough, so I would highly recommend to refer to that in case you missed those webinars or you have any additional questions. It's a really great resource. And with that, I'll hand it over to our colleagues in housing, dining, and hospitality to talk a little bit about your on-campus housing options.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marissa. I'm going to go ahead and be going over the graduate and family housing portion of the presentation. And then I'm ready for the next slide. Okay, perfect. So overall in graduate and family housing, there's going to be 7 communities. 6 of our communities are designated for graduate students, and 1 is designated for faculty and staff, which is going to be the La Jolla del Sol community. So we really won't dive into that one today. Each of our communities offer like a range of different sized apartments for many different living styles and personal budgets. Our newest communities are going to be Nuevo East, Mesa Nueva, and Nuevo West. At Nuevo East, we have unfurnished 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom apartments. At Mesa Nueva, most of the spaces are going to be furnished studios with 2 dedicated buildings just for this layout. So we have about maybe 800, maybe a little bit more of those studios. Also, these are going to be furnished, so just keep that in mind. We also have unfurnished 1, 2, 3 bedroom apartments. And then a unique feature for these layouts is that they're actually going to include an in-unit washer and dryer. Whereas in the other communities, they do have a shared laundry facility. For Nuevo West, we have furnished 2, 4, and 6 bedroom apartments with super limited studio spaces. And when I mean limited, there's only going to be 4. So I would kind of like maybe overpass that one. We then have 1 Miramar Street. This community is composed of only unfurnished 2 bedroom apartments. And lastly, we have Mesa. There's going to be a few 1 and 3 bedroom apartments, but it is also going to be mainly made up of 2 bedrooms. And these apartments come unfurnished as well. Also for my cat lovers or cat owners out there, it's going to be 1 Miramar Street in Mesa. That will go ahead and you can have up to 2 pet cats. And then we also have Coast. Coast has a very extremely lengthy wait time. So we probably wouldn't be able to get to your application with this layout or this community in the time by fall 2026. I'm ready for the next slide. Alrighty, so overall, we have our map. This map shows the footprint encompassing most of our communities. At the top left, we have Coast, which is located near main campus, near Muir College and the administration building, so closer to like the beach. On the left side, we have 1 Miramar Street. At the bottom is Mesa. It's going to be split between South Mesa and Central Mesa. In the middle, we have Nuevo West and Mesa Nueva. But last but not least, we have Nuevo East at the end. And then there's going to be 3 parking lots in this area and surface parking lots sprinkled throughout each community. The Mesa community is mainly going to be surface lot parking. And then additionally, there are going to be multiple campus shuttle stops throughout the communities, as well as a pedestrian bridge that will connect you to main campus if you choose to walk or bike or scooter. And then last but not least, we're also situated very close to 2 trolley stations to connect you guys with the rest of the city as well if you don't wish to bring a car. Alrighty, next slide, please. So we have a variety of amenities in our communities, and all residents are able to access them regardless of which community you live in. Throughout most communities, there are going to be study spaces, lounges, fire pits, barbecue areas, and ping pong tables, just create a vibe with your friends. Each community has their own garden, and you can have your very own garden plot if that's a hobby you want to pick up in the future. In Nuevo West, there's going to be a game room, a communal kitchen, and a market. At Mesa Nueva, we have a pool, 2 jacuzzis, and there's going to be a pub on site. It is San Diego's very own Mission Brewery. And then at 1 Miramar Street, we have the Triton Food Pantry, where students have access for food for free through like a point system. Next slide, please. Thank you. Now, let's take a closer look at the communities, which is going to be Nuevo West. This community opened in 2020 and is made up of 2 high-rise buildings. Brisa is on the left and Viento is on the right. In Brisa, there are study rooms on each floor, a music room, and a rock climbing station. Also, this is where community kitchen and a game room that I mentioned earlier is where they're going to be at. And then finally, this building has 1 of 3 fitness rooms available. And then throughout graduate and family housing, there's going to be overall 3 gyms that you have access to, and this has 1 of them. And then in Viento, there are going to be lounge spaces on every floor, and this building includes a rooftop lounge that residents can reserve for events, and it's going to be for free, called The Nest. So it's a really vibey place if you want to host anything up there. Next slide, please. And then this is going to go ahead and be an inside of a Nuevo West apartment. This apartment comes completely furnished, so this entire community comes furnished. So as if you're an international student, this could help with some of the cost of purchasing your own furniture if you don't wish to do so. And then on the top left corner, we have the inside of a bedroom. The bedrooms include a full-size bed, desk, and chair. The living room is provided with a love seat, ottoman, and console table. And then for the kitchen, it comes with major appliances, including a microwave. And then the bathroom includes a sink for each bed space, allowing each resident to have their very own sink space. So you don't have to share that as well. Alrighty, and then thank you. This is going to be also in Nuevo West. This is going to be a 6-bedroom apartment. The 6-bedroom apartments are quite large at 2,100 square feet. It's set up as a townhome with a common area, 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom on the first floor. And then the other 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms are on the second floor. In shared apartments for Nuevo West, Mesa Nueva, and Nuevo East, you may request a preferred roommate, I should say, to share a bedroom with you on your application, which can help lower housing costs if that's going to be an issue, or just to help you a little bit on your journey here. Next slide, please. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and go to Nuevo East. This community also opened in 2020 and has 5 designated buildings. There are going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom unfurnished apartments. So this is kind of where you would need to purchase your own furniture, but you could always create your own space, which is also pretty cool. This photo shows the Exchange building on the left. This is where our main office is located, and we share the space with the Nuevo East Community Office. If you ever have questions or would like to speak with someone in person, feel free to stop by, and we're always happy to help. The Exchange building is also a great community space, and we'll be talking more about it later in the presentation. And then on the right-hand side of this picture, we have the Portone building, which is the tallest of the 5 buildings at 12 stories. Next slide, please. Thank you. And then here is going to go ahead and be kind of the overall communities and then the apartments. At the top left corner, we have the inside of a 1-bedroom apartment at Nuevo East. These apartments, again, come completely unfurnished, so you need to provide your own furniture. But again, this does give you the opportunity to personalize and set up your space in a way that works best for you. Monthly charges in Nuevo East include electricity, water, trash, gas, high-speed internet, premium cable package, as well as parking, all included in your rent as well. And then on the right-hand side, you can see an area near the Tierra building in the Nuevo East community. There's a hammock that's great for relaxing, especially during the warmer months. Nearby, there's also a seating area with benches. And then fun fact about this space, last year we added a community bookshare that became very popular. And because of that, we added a second one near Nuevo West. And then right now, I actually believe we're working on a third one. Don't know the location, but overall, there may be 3. And then we also have another photo showing one of the many study rooms located in the Exchange buildings. All righty, and then I am good to thank you. All righty, so as I mentioned earlier, this is going to go ahead and be the Exchange building. I like to say it's the hub of Nuevo East. This building has multiple teams working inside this office. We have the Nuevo East Community Office, housing allocations, which is going to be us, and then the Connect team, who host fun events to bring the communities together, and they're actually really, really amazing. The picture on the left shows the inside of a study room. These community rooms can be reserved by students. The room is set up with tables, chairs, TV, and a sound bar, and it is a great space to host study jams or practice presentations, solo or with friends. And then in the middle, we have the yoga room, which is a popular space for hosting events like birthday parties, meetings, and other gatherings. It's a really flexible space, and it also connects to a balcony patio area, which is great for enjoying, some fresh air during your events. And then lastly, we have one of the music rooms. It's fully soundproof, making it perfect for practicing instruments, or anytime you need a private space, just to let it all out. We understand, you guys are students. And then that's all for my portion. Thank you for listening, and I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Myra.
Awesome. So on this page, on the left side, you can see our web page where you will apply. In previous years, new incoming grad students needed to wait until their student credentials were active to apply directly to the waitlist using single sign-on. However, this year, due to the new student ID process, we're allowing students to submit their housing application earlier by requesting a temporary username and password. The only requirement is that they need to upload a screenshot of your reference number located in their ECSD application. Once you get your temporary credentials, you will return to this page to create your housing application. On the right side, You will see our statistics page where you can check the estimated wait times. The page shows estimated wait times by floor plan on the applications that we're currently working on. This page also helps us students to make a better decision when selecting their housing preferences. Next slide. All right, so who is eligible for grad housing? At Graduate and Family Housing, we provide housing for graduate students enrolled at UC San Diego in full-time coursework leading to a graduate level degree. We also accommodate undergrad students with a marital status, couple, or couples with dependents. Additionally, we offer housing exclusively for staff and faculty at La Jolla del Sol, where postdoctoral scholars are eligible to apply. All right, what is the wait time? The wait time for housing depends on the selected housing preferences, typically ranging from 2 to 6 months. However, in high demand communities like Coast, the wait time can extend to 24 to 28 months. The 2-year term allows for us to cycle through the waitlist more frequently, giving more grad students the opportunity to live in grad family housing. All right. In the housing application, we request general information to better understand your housing needs. Your marital status is an important detail to help us allocate housing appropriately, whether you are applying as a single student known as family. You will also be asked to select up to 3 housing preferences, with your top choice being your priority. While we make every effort to accommodate your first preference, we assign spaces based on availability. Lastly, we ask for your desired move-in date. We encourage applicants to provide the most accurate date possible, as housing contracts will be issued based on this information. All right, single grad students are eligible to apply for a shared space in any apartment community. They may also select a studio or a 1-bedroom floor plan. Additionally, single grad students have the option to add a preferred roommate or a double occupant roommate in eligible communities. Students with a marital status couple are eligible for a studio, 1-bedroom, or a 2-bedroom apartment. They will require to submit a marriage certificate or 2 joint ownership documents. We have the full list of the eligible documents on our website. Couples with dependents are eligible for a 2-bedroom or a 1-bedroom or a 3-bedroom apartment, depending on the size of the family. They're also required to submit the necessary documentation, such as marriage certificate and the birth certificate for each child listed in the housing application. As an additional benefit, couples with minor dependents or single parents with minor dependents will receive a month-to-month rental agreement. All right, now we're going to talk about the leasing process. We usually notify students of their first offer 30 to 60 days prior to the desired move-in date. Prior to this time, you may update your housing application. However, you cannot update your housing application during the leasing process. For the first offer, you will have 48 hours to submit your decision. If you accept the offer, we will issue the rental agreement. If you decline the first offer, your housing application will return to the waitlist for a second offer. On your second offer will depend on the availability. You will also have 48 hours to make your decision. If you upset, we'll issue the contract. If you decline the second offer, your housing application will be archived, and you will need to complete a new housing application to rejoin the waitlist. Once the contract is issued, you will have 24 hours to sign it. The final step of the leasing process is the online moving orientation. In this orientation, you will find important details about your housing assignment, including instructions on how to set up electricity for your unit if applicable. You will also have the opportunity to enter your car information if you plan to bring one, and provide your expected arrival date. The online moving orientation is designed to ensure a smooth moving process and help you prepare everything you need before arriving. Lastly, single grad students assigned to a shared space will receive a roommate information email a month prior to the contract start date. If after this presentation you have any additional questions or any other questions that we will not cover here, you can reach us by via email, or you can call us to the telephone number provided. Or if you are in the area, like Marisa mentioned, if you wish to speak with somebody in person, you can visit our office located in the Exchange Building in the Nuevo East community.
Hello again, everyone. We are your Basic Needs Off-Campus Housing Office, and thank you to ISEO for inviting our office to share our resources. My name is Carolina Tinoco, pronouns she, her, ella, and I serve as the Assistant Director for Housing Security Programs over at the Hub Basic Needs Center.
And I'll reintroduce myself again as well. Hello, everybody. My name is Marisa Islas, pronouns she, her, hers, and I'm the Basic Needs Housing and Education Resource Coordinator.
So today we're going to be reviewing some general housing information and resources that are available to the entirety of our campus community. And we wish to honor the specific and additional barriers that international students typically have to navigate through while searching for housing. Luckily, we'll be diving into many of those helpful resources specific to you all today.
And so, as you can see on this slide, this is the off-campus housing website. But first, what is the off-campus housing office? So, the off-campus housing office offers resources to aid students in their transition to off-campus living. And a resource some of y'all may already be familiar with is the off-campus housing website. If you're not, no worries. We're showing you a screenshot of the website right here, as you can see. So here you can access property listings, upload your own property listing, as well as do a roommate search and read up on first-time renting tips, as well as lease overviews and emergency resources. So once you enter offcampushousing.ucsc.edu into your search bar, you will see a layout like this. And the website essentially offers UCSD students, staff, and faculty a chance to, like I said, look at listings, roommates, options, and you just log in with your UCSD user ID or PID and log right in. So really safe platform that we highly recommend and that we manage. So as you can see on the right, you can log in right there and use your login credential requirements to just to log right in. And when searching for housing, you can adjust your preferences by how much you are looking to spend. If you want either a house or apartment, as well as what location you want to live in, how many miles from campus, and other specific requests. And you can also find resources on how to review rental agreements, how to understand your responsibilities as a tenant, and more, both of those being very fundamental parts of the housing search. And additionally, the roommate search tool on our website also provides you all with the opportunity to search for potential roommates that also attend UC San Diego. And through this feature, you all can have the option to create your own roommate profile that includes important information relating to your preferences and roommate characteristics. We can go ahead to the next slide, please. Thank you. And then just a bit more about our consultation. So if you're interested in learning more about these resources, such as the website, or just in general how to start your off-campus housing search, we do highly recommend you all to schedule a one-on-one consultation through the Basic Needs Assistance form that is found on our website, basicneeds.ucsc.edu. And essentially, this form will allow our staff at the hub to better understand your personal situation regarding your overall basic needs. For example, our housing consultations that I facilitate, as well as Carolyn and Natalia, we would go one-on-one, depending who you get routed to. We would go over your preferences, such as your budget, preferred location, timeline, if you wish to live with roommates or housemates, and more. And then just a bit about our annual educational campaign. This is our five-part series on all things off-campus housing education. Through our videos, we are able to highlight intentional services available and helpful recommendations to you all as you embark on your off-campus housing search. So in our 2022 campaign, that was the very beginnings of our campaign and essentially offered all the basics as it came to off-campus housing search. So thinking of your needs versus your wants, how to fill out a rental application, knowing what a lease is, a roommate agreement, and more. And then in 2023, we centered on housing and identity, specifically elevating common off-campus housing experiences within different student communities. We did include a video on the international student experience in that series, so we definitely recommend to check out that. And then in our 2024 campaign, we focused on being a civilly engaged renter, because as students, it's very important for y'all to know how to advocate for yourselves, especially when it comes to rights to fair and just housing. And then in 2025, we took it back to the basics with similar topics from our very first campaign, but did want to highlight that this year we will be covering how to approach housing with confidence. So that'll be released week one of spring quarter, and we are going to be discussing topics such as how to build a budget, grocery shopping and cooking on a budget, navigating public transportation, and building your home away from home. So definitely check that out, and you can access those videos once they're up week one on our Instagram, UCSD Basic Needs, um, uh, or our website as well, through the educational campaign tab.
So to add, here are some additional housing resources that other students have found useful. However, we do highly recommend using the UCSD off-campus housing website, as all the properties are vetted through our basic needs housing team. First, you can see here is the AS, your Associated Students Housing Guide, serves an amazing off-campus housing guide for students that provides a visual breakdown of what a housing search should look like. We had the summer 2021 off-campus housing webinar, is another great resource to use as a guide for off-campus living. The webinar includes presentations from the Hub Basic Needs Center, off-campus housing, Office of Omnibuds, Student Legal Services, Transportation Services, Associated Students, and Student Life. Also, Student Legal Services allows students to access information regarding leasing and legal topics. We highly encourage anyone in need of any legal counseling to schedule an appointment through their website. They can also review a lease prior to you signing it. So moving to a UCSD affiliated public search platform, which oftentimes assist in finding alternative housing, other listings, potential roommates, and potentially cheaper leases. So these websites that we're showcasing here are public platforms. PadMapper is a property search website, and Spare Room is a roommate search website. There is also the UC San Diego unofficial Facebook housing guide, which provides as a community a resource and students use it to find roommates and housing. Again, these are all great tools that other students have used, but we do highly recommend using the official UCSD off-campus housing website that everything is vetted through our off-campus housing team. Next slide, please. Okay, so now let's dive into some housing search tips that we have put together because the typical concerns are what we hear from students is where do we begin looking? In general, the answer is going to be it depends. It depends on what type of lease you are looking for, when you're looking to sign a lease. However, when centering the trends in the housing market, if you're looking for a summer lease, the time to look is now between May. If you're looking for a summer, if you are looking for a summer lease, the time is to look now and May. If you're looking for a fall lease, the time varies, but we suggest you start looking no later than June. Since San Diego has a large college student community, you may also want to consider if properties are willing to hold a listing with a holding fee if you're ready to move in. Next, you want to start by building your list of needs versus wants and truly understand what your non-negotiables are when it comes to a listing. The list should include your budget, preferred locations, transit options, how are you going to get to campus, potential roommates, and the amenities. We also want to note that you should be strategic about your affordability. So consider a month-to-month lease if your financials could be less stable versus a full year committed lease. Additionally, a few tips when navigating your search include requesting a virtual and in-person tour of the property. Be sure not to sign any lease or pay any deposits until you can physically check out the property. You never know if what you're seeing in photos or virtually is truly what the property has to offer you. And of course, ensure that the property aligns with your wants and needs. With the housing crisis, it's easily to want to quickly find housing to ensure stability. However, there is much value in ensuring that your holistic experience of living off campus will help you during your time at UC San Diego. A quick note is that all of these tips and more are comprehensive are put through our educational campaign, which Marissa talked about earlier. And you can always make an appointment with us. And it gives a thorough breakdown when you make an appointment with us or go through the housing educational campaigns of what you're looking for and going through all of these steps that we just talked about. Which is like when to start negotiating leases, housing services in your area, etc. And you can always check out our Instagram at UCSD Basic Needs or our website, which is basicneeds.ucsd.edu, and check out the educational campaign. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you so much to our campus partners for such good information. I'm just going to share some additional housing resources that might be helpful as you consider all aspects of finding housing and such in San Diego. So the first thing I want to share, we have a housing page on our website, just because we know that there's a lot that goes into, again, like moving to a new country, starting a new chapter of your life. There's a lot involved here. So it includes resources around off-campus housing and on-campus housing, but it also includes resources on common scams. Unfortunately, our international students are prime victims for a lot of these scams, and we want to make sure that you can be really smart when you're looking at different housing opportunities. It also includes resources of, I saw a comment in the chat of a question, students who might want to rent furniture, right? So it's going to talk about furniture rental resources. Maybe you want to set up utilities, phone, internet, TV. It'll have some of those resources, renter's insurance, storage. So it talks about housing, but it also talks about a lot of other things in addition to housing. So that could be a really helpful resource as you're looking at all these different things that kind of make up starting this new chapter of your life at UC San Diego. So feel free to check it out. I just put that link in the chat. Okay, So I know another common question we get is some transitional housing resources. So let's say you come to San Diego and your lease doesn't start until X date, and maybe you need somewhere to stay for a week, 2 weeks, etc. One of the first things I love to highlight is our Solana Beach host family program. This is such a wonderful program. It's a community volunteer resource where you can stay with an American host family for a few days, up to a week, no longer than a week, but you stay with them for free when you first arrive at UC San Diego. So it's really such a special opportunity. It's so wonderful. Students who have participated in this program have absolutely loved it. So I would highly recommend looking into it. Again, it is meant to be very much short-term transitional. So a few days up to a week, but it's a chance to stay with an American host family for free when you first arrive. And oftentimes, students who stay with their host family continue that relationship throughout their time at UC San Diego. So it can be a really special experience and a really cool cultural experience as well. Another resource I like to offer is Anatolia. So I know that some folks were asking about furnished housing and things like that. Thank you so much, Marie. That can be a really good resource. Other transitional housing. So some students have used Hostel World or Airbnb or VRBO. These are all different resources. Again, they're not affiliated with UC San Diego, but they are great resources in case you need somewhere to stay for maybe like a week or two before you move into your long-term housing. Wonderful. So, in the event that you might live off campus, there's also a number of commuter resources. So, when we say commuter, what we're often referring to is students who do not live on campus and instead they commute to campus from their off-campus housing in order to attend classes, go to work, etc. So, there's a number of different commuter lounges here at UC San Diego where you might be able to store some of your personal belongings. Maybe you can use the microwave to heat up lunch or dinner. Just all these different various resources for our students who will be commuting. And so we like to offer that in case you do end up living off campus. We want you to know that this is a resource available for you. And then finally, as I mentioned, unfortunately, our international students can be targets for a lot of housing scams. So we want to make sure that you know what to look out for. If something is too good to be true, sounds too good to be true, it often is. So if some housing posting is like wildly cheaper than everything else listed, that is something to kind of look into a little bit more. If someone is asking you to pay like more than just a deposit, but like the first month's rent without ever actually seeing the space or things like that. We know it's a hard balance because we know that housing in San Diego is really competitive, but we also don't want you to fall victim to any housing scams. And because you can be in a different country while you're trying to secure housing, unfortunately, some of our students are a little bit more vulnerable. So isafety.ucsd.edu does have an entire section dedicated to some of the housing scams that we've seen and we want you to be aware of. And then I also want to echo again student legal services. So student legal services is an incredible resource. It's truly lawyers here on campus who will often like look over a lease for you. And these things, and let me tell you, once you graduate from UC San Diego, these resources are very expensive. You will pay a lot of money for a lawyer to look over a lease or for a lawyer to help you with housing issues. So I always say take advantage of it now because this is a great resource when it comes to some of the things we want to offer you. And just make sure that you're safe and protected when securing your housing at UC San Diego or in San Diego. Okay, so now we're going to transition. We're in the closing end of our presentation. So I'm going to go through these really quickly because I want to make sure we have time at the end for open question and answer. So as a reminder, we have a number of guides that hopefully are helpful to you. We know We share a lot of information in these pre-arrival webinars, so we're hopeful that our welcome guide and our serve check guide kind of just put this information in maybe a more digestible format. It's like a little bit more visually appealing, and it can serve as a checklist as you transition. Similarly, yes, SurfCheck is created for students by students, and it covers topics like arranging transportation from the airport to campus, setting up a phone account, a bank account, and more. Our Grad Pals program is our peer mentorship program. Many students really enjoy being a part of this program during their time. It's a high impact program, I would say, where you can get matched with a currently enrolled interna or graduate student here at UC San Diego. So I'd highly recommend checking it out. Our I programs are our signature programs. If you're curious about any of these, please go to iprograms.ucsd.edu and you can start to have a sneak peek into some of the things you might want to become more involved in once you arrive on campus. And our iEvents calendar is a live calendar filled with all sorts of different events you can take advantage of. Many students will bookmark this page for things when they're looking for things to do that week or upcoming weekend. And we are on Instagram, so if you kind of want to get a snapshot into what your life might look like at UC San Diego, our Instagram really features on what it's like to be an international student living in San Diego, going to UCSD. Okay, and finally, here are our last reminders. So things you can start doing now is requesting your visa documents and applying for housing. And then, as our housing folks mentioned, we'll start to send out some of those housing contracts a little bit later in the spring into summer. In July is when a lot of your health immunization requirements are due. This upcoming Tuesday, we'll have our colleagues from Student Health talk about health insurance and health immunization requirements. So, strongly recommend you join us for that. And in September is when we have a lot of exciting, you might move in. And check in and join us for orientation and all of that good stuff. Okay, so here's a snapshot of all of the upcoming webinars. So lots of exciting things. I won't go through all of these, but again, inewstudentwebinars.ucsd.edu under fall 2026 is where you can sign up for additional webinars as well as view previous webinar recordings. Okay. So I do want to, as always, dedicate some time at the end. I thank you to our partners and our presenters. I know you all have been busy answering a lot of different questions. So I really appreciate you lending your expertise here. While we're waiting for some additional questions to come in, I'll open the floor. Is there any questions that have come through the Q&A so far that you feel like would benefit a large group of students?
Hi, Grace. Yes, I noticed a question that it came through the Q&A, and this is about roommates. So I do want to clarify that if you're a single grad student, you don't need to have a roommate. If you don't add a roommate in your housing application, we will assign you to a random roommate based on the wait list. But if you know somebody that you want to list in your housing application, you have the ability to do it.
Thank you. I did see that that was a very common question, so I appreciate you speaking to that, Myra. We have just a couple more minutes. So please, I know some of you might be frantically typing, trying to get your question in. So I'll allow a minute or so for some of those final questions to come in, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up for today. I know that many of our campus partners have already put their contact information in the chat, but if you wouldn't mind, please go ahead and again, if students have additional questions, if you can put your contact information of how students can best reach you, whether it be questions, yeah, for on-campus housing folks, off-campus housing folks. But we did have a new question come in that I'll go ahead and read aloud. So I can read this question aloud and then maybe Myra, you can answer it. Okay, perfect. The question reads, I did not see any section in the housing application which asked me whether I want a single occupancy or double occupancy room. So if I don't choose a roommate, how is it known that I've opted for a double occupancy room and I am requesting a random roommate?
Awesome. That is a really great question. So for double occupancy, We have two layers. I wanted to say that way. In the community, like One Miramar and Mesa community, students have the option to select the floor plan double room in those communities. Um, for the rest of the communities like Mesa Nueva, Nuevo West, Nuevo East, the student will have to be the primary, receive the offer as a primary occupant and sign the contract and then find their own double occupant and later on add it to the lease. That's a process, that's a separate process the leasing, from the leasing offer. So you will do that after you sign the contract.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, our next question reads, the living expenses under the funding requirements for one academic year show approximately $36,000. What is the cost accounted for housing in this? This is a great question. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure exactly under living expenses how much has kind of been dedicated for housing expenses specifically. I think one of the resources that you could take advantage of if you're trying to budget about how much to expect to spend on housing is looking at some of the costs on the Grad and Family Housing website. Additionally, you could schedule potentially like a housing consultation with the Basic Needs Hub and the off-campus housing team. They might be able to also kind of help you start to set expectations about what is a standard rent in San Diego. And I think also looking at our off-campus housing website. So the official UCSD off-campus housing website, again, that's been vetted by the off-campus housing team. You can start to get a sense for kind of what a pretty different standard rents might be. Again, that's going to vary. It's going to fluctuate depending on the amenities you're looking for, maybe how close to campus you're wanting to live, things like that. But I think by exploring some of those resources, you can kind of get a better idea of how much you might expect to spend on housing in San Diego. All right. We have reached the end of our presentation today. So I just want to thank you again and thank specifically our campus partners. Um, we cannot be the experts on everything when it comes to starting your life here at UC San Diego, which is why we're so grateful to be able to work with different folks across campus who do serve as the experts on these topics. So thank you again. If you do have any ISEO specific questions, so questions regarding your Form I-20 or DS 2019, I'm going to put the ISEO contact form link in the chat. You can go ahead and fill that out. We've also had our folks from housing provide their contact information that you can ask any questions. And then our colleagues from Basic Needs, where you can reach them. So, like I said, a lot of really good resources shared today. We hope that this has been helpful for you. And with that, we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you, everyone.